Yo, yo. So, I just thought of an idea on Lost Zone Kyogre with Goodra. Right? Need three of those. That is the question. What the fuck? Oh, okay. Tis the question. Something gotta go. Alright. Let's try this out.
Welcome back, Pokemon fans. We are here in the Analyst Lounge as the day sort of winds down, but the competition is still yet to come. My name is Ethan Heggie, and I am joined by our 2022 World Champion, Andre School. How are you doing here today, man?
Hello, I'm doing pretty great.
You're here in Australia. Is this your first time here?
Yeah, actually it is.
I've been asking everybody, because at least for me, I'm a huge fan of the city. What are you thinking? Are you a big fan of this place here? Is it your first time here? How has it been for you?
Yeah, it's a pretty nice city. Yesterday I went to the Sky Deck observation tower and looked at everything from 88th floor, so that was kind of great, yeah.
Nice and tall, definitely a different city, I'm sure, from where you're from here. And a lot has changed, right? I feel like last time we spoke, really got you on the stream, was the 2022 World Championships. And of course, a lot has changed since then, but I want to know, and I'm sure people at home want to know, after winning Worlds, right, after you found the boss's orders, brought up the Pokemon events, took the knockout, what changed for you in your life?
Well, I won the prize money, right? I got there's like the #1 trainer card that you get when you win, and I sold that one for even like more than I got as the prize money, so that's kind of life-changing, I guess. And yeah, that's about the prize money. And so when it comes to other stuff, I just like feel like people sometimes look at me when I randomly walk at the events and stuff like that, so that's kind of new to me, I guess.
And new opportunities as well, right?
Yeah.
A new team to be a part of as well. Exciting opportunities there. And again, notability, right? I think your role may be changing from a player that people respected, right, years ago in the Europe region. Would you say you're now maybe looked on as like a mentor, or as like a figurehead of somebody that when you look through, I mean, you are a part of the history of the game now, right? You are a world champion.
Yeah, I don't really like do coaching much, so that comes to that. But yeah, I mean, someone might look up to me. I guess it's kind of weird to say.
Well, there's players in the game of all different ages, right? Of course, we'll be showcasing our juniors and seniors finals later on in this week. So I'm excited to see some of the young talent, right? A great example of that would be some of the younger players who's aged up recently, still performing well at Masters. And we were all one of those young players at one point, right? Learning to play the game. So.
I actually only played 1 year in seniors, so I wasn't that.
I mean, I'm similar to me. I played like 1 to 2 years,
right,
like 1 year like fully in seniors, and then moved on up to play in Masters. It's a little bit of a rude awakening, but you get used to it here. So you're doing pretty well today. 5-1-1 with Lugia. I mean, we talked a little bit about the format, your likes, your dislikes. Is Lugia just the reason you played it because it is the best deck in the room, or what was your reasoning for piloting this deck?
I like tried finding some counter decks, but there like wasn't any. I felt like I went to play Articuno like 2 days ago, but I felt like everybody was gonna deck for it, and I think some people actually did. So yeah, I decided for Lugia in the end, and just like go a high roll, mirrors and Muse, I guess.
That's how it has to be sometimes, right? You got to play to the format. Again, this is a little bit more, I mean, not as typical, right? We've had this format now for almost 5 months at this point. We're coming up on Scarlet and Violet. Are you excited to finally rotate into E-Block?
Yeah, I actually think that anything is better than this format, so yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Back and forth, I think when you play the same thing over and over again, things like that can happen. And of course, it jumps to show, right? Even if you do well in a format, right? There's been formats in the game. So how long have you been playing the game for? When did you really begin playing the Pokemon trading card game?
My first season I began with was Arkansas Silver Triumphant, which was like 2011, I think, something like that.
Wow. That's a while ago. That's a while. And kept playing through that. Did you take any breaks throughout that year?
Yeah, I took a couple of breaks, like half a year or something like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, eventually come back always. So.
It comes back, right? It feels like every time it gets us back in when a new set comes out, or a new competition, and it's exciting here to be at a competition like this, an international event. Are these your favorite events to go to, or is World Championships? I mean, bias aside now at this point, right? As a World Champion, where are your favorite places to go to really play Pokemon? What kind of events?
Well, I like Worlds because like every year it's a different place. I've never been to Australia, so this feels kind of like Worlds, but we're like coming to Sao Paulo every year is like, okay.
Yeah, there's some similar locations for sure, and it's nice that some of the events on the circuit do change up a little bit. We get some new locations and some new places to go. Again, World Championships we're going to keep talking about because it is an important milestone in your life. At this point through Pokemon, what else is there for you? Is it the love of the game that keeps driving you forward to become a world champion again? What is it that you have in mind for your goals in the future when it comes to Pokemon trading?
When it comes to Pokemon trading card game, yeah, I feel like my goal is to win another Worlds, which would be like a legendary, I guess. Yeah. Other than that, I feel like I've been twice pretty close to winning internationals in 2019, so that would be a good win too.
So a win here would mean a lot to you. I mean, that's what every player is looking for, right? One of each: regional champion, international championship.
I have no
Worlds.
regional win either, so I'll take that as well, I guess.
Either one would work, and of course, championship points. We keep talking about this on stream, but recently, championship point numbers have gotten adjusted. Does that change your goals at all for the season?
Well, I mean, I'm like already automatically invited because of the World Worlds. So the only thing that championships matters for me is basically getting travel boards, stipends, and day 2 at Worlds. That's like the main goal.
We've got a lot of awesome goals, a lot of awesome history, and a lot of change for you. So I'm happy to see that things are working out well for you. And thanks for taking the time to talk to me. It's been awesome to hear a little bit more about Andre's life after the World Championships. And again, congratulations on winning that. I think we're ready to hopefully get into our next round. So casters, start over to you.
Thank you very much, Ethan. Always nice to hear from a former world champion. Not the only former world champion we've seen today. Of course, we've seen Henry Brand. And I kind of love seeing former world champions still playing the game, Boo, because that kind of proves we're right. This game is awesome.
Yeah, except, I mean, you can always expect Andre to be such an honest interviewer there as well. Just laying it out all on the table. I'm not a huge fan of this format as well. But as you can see, Andre's still here playing and doing well so far. 5-1-1 there in our Oceania International Championship. So yeah, definitely such a cool interview. It's always great to hear from our reigning world champion as well.
Yeah, so many former world champions still playing, you know, so that's good things. And we've seen enough from this tournament so far that I'm all in on this format. We've seen back and forth games. The Lost Box versus Lugia matchup has been very interesting. The Lost Box versus Mew matchup has been very interesting. Mew and Lugia can be a very interesting matchup. And I've had a bunch of people saying over the past couple of weeks that the Lugia V-Star mirror match is one of the best and most interesting mirror matches we've had in a while. Because, and don't get me wrong, I know, and Carl made his point earlier, yes, the opening point is very important, but mistakes in that matchup are so punishable that you really are being made to play very, very, very well. And if you don't play brilliantly straight off the bat, you are going to find yourself in trouble pretty quickly.
Yeah, I definitely prefer Lugia V-Star mirror matches versus the Origin form. Palkia mirror matches that we used to see all the time for sure. I think there are a lot more spicy things that happen here and there because there's so much versatility in the attackers that you see in the decks. I mean, in a lot of the Lugias, we're seeing all sorts of things getting slotted into the deck. So that's always kind of nice. And when you have a little bit of variation there versus, you know, you'll see a Stoutland attack, then a Rangaroo could come out of the woodwork as well, or Archeops we've seen attack several times today. So that's always adding a little bit of variety to our streams here and some fun to our casting.
Well, I think two of the big decks at the moment, you've got your Lugia and your Lost Box. The thing is, Lugia can go and grab your Archeops, which can go and grab all your special energy.
Yeah.
And the Lost Zone decks, they're all playing the Mirage Gate, which can go and grab any
your
kind of
energy.
basic energy you like. So that means that both of these decks are absolutely ripe for taking in weird cards. We just saw Pedro win on stream with a Zamazenta from Crown Zenith, which is not a card a lot of people had kind of pegged as a real meta-defining card. And in some meta games, that exact card would not be very good. We've got these two big decks at the moment seeing a huge amount of play, both of which can tack in these weird and wonderful cards. And that, I think, makes it very interesting because, yes, Lugia is the best deck, and yes, it's like 30% of the meta here.
Yeah.
But are we talking Lugia with Greedent, Lugia with Flying Pikachu, Lugia with the amazing rare Evil Towel, the amazing rare Raikou? There's a lot of different stuff on display here.
I know, and I'm patiently awaiting to see, you know, who is coming out on top in these rounds as far as those Lugia lists go. Of course, we do have 2 more rounds left in today. The players are still chugging along in our tournament out in the playing field, grinded for those points. Of course, as we talked about many times, that 6-2-1 is what you want to get. Of course, you always want to do better heading into a day 2 because you're going to have a lot easier of a time going into a day 2 with a better record, but still, if you get there, you get there, and that's huge to get there at an international championship.
Or at that weird stage of the tournament where the players, you know, your rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, everyone's just trying to win. But now we're in this weird situation where some players are 7-0 and they've already booked into day 2. So now it's, you know, we're still trying to win, but now it's trying to win to get into top 8.
Win more.
Exactly. We've got other players who maybe unfortunately are now out of day 2 contention, but they're trying to win to get into a certain threshold, to hit some personal goal they've tried to achieve. Maybe try and get some championship points even if they can't get into day 2. And then we've got some other players who are desperately trying to get to that 6-2 record so that they can potentially ID themselves into day 2 because that's the goal. And now all of a sudden we've got some players who are just kind of playing for the best record possible. Some players have dropped, some players are really playing for top 8, some players are trying to squeeze into day 2, and all of a sudden everybody's got a very, not everybody, but there's different groups of players with different goals in the room here in a way that there weren't in rounds 1 and 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we get to jump into day 2, we really get to like iron out those storylines as well. Get to meet a lot more people, get to see which decks are continuing to progress through the tournament and kind of highly anticipate what is going to be in our top cuts and such as well. And I am so excited, Ross, too. I'm sure you are as well. I love having a championship day as well. Like getting to see the juniors, the seniors, and the masters all in one big culmination is always so fun.
Oh, well, it's not just juniors, seniors, and masters. Don't forget Pokemon Go. Don't forget Pokemon VGC.
Okay, I'm selfish talking about TCG, yes, but
there's been a lot of champions, and I kind of like that.
Is, yeah.
Like, you know, we finish our stream, and I'm like, oh, cool. Now let's go find a nice comfy chair and go and watch VG.
Hey, VG's always so hyped to watch too every time.
So no, I'm with you. I love the Championship Sunday, but you know, right now it's really trying to, you know, really try and straighten out, and it's interesting because we've got some of the old hands, you know. someone like Henry Brand, Andre Schibal, they are
Yeah.
world champions, but they're not necessarily, Andre was saying they've been playing since like 2011.
Yeah.
But then we've got some, older players here, like, Sam Chen. I mean, I remember reading about some of Sam Chen's deck list back in the Diamond and Pearl era.
Oh my
Chenlock, for
gosh.
people who've been around the wild, Chenlock will mean something to them. But that was a deck that was around in the Gen 4 era. And, we've seen players been playing that long. But then we got newer players. I mean, one of the players
Yeah.
who I think has a winning in next round is Jamie Franklin, a British player.
Oh, that's awesome.
And, I was casting the Lille Regional Championships a few weeks back over in France. And Jamie Franklin took second place with a Blissey deck.
Yeah.
And, that was kind of, I'd never really heard of this player before. And an absolutely lovely chap, great sense of humour. I was kind of chatting to them and they were like, yeah, kind of new to all this. I've not really played for it, but this is my first big result.
Yeah.
And it was awesome, like, seeing that excitement from, a new young player who's, having their first result. And now all of a sudden they're in Australia
Yeah.
with a winning in the internationals, and we see this all
That's
the time.
awesome.
These players no one's ever heard of. The next thing you turn around, they're like, oh well, now they're in Australia on kind of like a winning in. But they're also there with these, Andre Schibal, I think, is on 5-1-1, potentially on a winning in.
Yeah.
And you got a player who's been playing for over a decade and is a world champion on the same kind of winning in as a player who got second at the regionals and is kind of just starting to make a name for themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of the US fans out there probably aren't that aware of Jamie Franklin at the moment.
Probably not.
But I get the feeling in the next couple of years they probably will be.
I mean, I even said earlier, I never get to see Andre, but you see Andre all the time, I'm sure, because, I cast mostly NA. You're over on the EU side of things. I'm actually curious, Ross, what is the carryover like, just as far as, primarily focusing on EU events, and now obviously you're here in Australia, just coming over, seeing a whole different kind of field of players and stuff. How is that for you?
It's largely the same. I mean, it's very much so,
Pokemon players, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, you see a lot of the North American players, North
Yeah.
American events. I see a lot of the European players, European events. But the way it is now with, all the online resources we've got and the testing
Yeah,
groups,
true.
and a lot of the testing groups are international nowadays. People are not just testing with their own country.
Yeah.
Whereas Japan has a very different metagame at times, and they are doing very different things. We see that, Europe and the US have very similar metagames. And Australia and the other Oceanian players, Latin American players kind of feed into that as well. I mean, I think for us it's largely scale. I will say, over in the US you have larger regionals.
Yeah.
We don't have 1,500 player regionals in Europe. I kind of wish we did. We're more sensible kind of 700-800 players, which is still a huge amount of players, let's be clear. But, we have slightly smaller events. But it's still a very similar thing. We're still very, very, very competitive. We're still absolutely stacked tournaments. And, when we come to these big tournaments, they are filled with great European players, great North
Yeah.
American players.
A big mixture, a culmination of everybody.
Yeah, you just get bigger attendances at your regionals than we tend to get over in Europe.
Hey, when you're grinding through a day and you're off so late at night as well from casting and just exhausted, maybe you'll be like, oh, a lot of players here today. That's a little rough to cast, I'm telling you. But no, yeah, we're super grateful to have so many players at our NA events for sure. Competing. I mean, it just shows the growth of the game as well. Like you were talking about, I mean, even someone we had on our stream earlier, one of our new VMAX players, Vincent, I got note that they were pretty much new to the game, had just started playing a couple of months ago, and this was their very first event. And we saw them, I believe, at the 4-0 record that we saw them on stream at. So, I mean, that's just a story that is incredible. Imagine being in Vincent's shoes. Going to a local Australian event that happens to just be an international as well, and just doing so well with the deck and then getting streamed. I mean, that's just memories that you'll keep forever, for sure.
Yeah, things have certainly changed. I mean, my first big events, there were no streams at those.
Yeah, true.
UK Nationals 2011. It was a very different time back then playing those kind of events. And, but, you still see some of those players that I kind of met back at Nationals in 2011 are still around. I mean, Adam Hawkins is a player we've talked about on stream
Yeah.
already, who's been around for many, many years. Adam Hawkins actually had a really good run at Worlds with Agron VMAX. I mean, the only
Yes.
player at Worlds that was playing Agron
Yes.
VMAX, at least the only
That
one.
was great. That was great.
And it was, came so close to that day too. It was absolutely fantastic. And I love seeing the mixture of the older players and the newer players, the world champions and the players at their first tournaments.
And they're all in an even playing field at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah, so there's an experience gap, but certainly, you know, the skill gap, it's not like it may have been once upon a time. We have so many just great players here, and I think a lot of that is because of your testing groups, because of your online resources.
Yeah.
It's never been easier to learn about the game and kind of get into the game and really become a good player. It's, you know, when I started playing, there weren't the online resources there were. Finding these good deck lists was not that easy.
Yeah.
There was a point where a lot of the good players would keep the deck list to themselves.
Yeah.
So they could win more with them.
Yeah.
Whereas now, and I think it's way better this way, somebody wins of a tournament and they're like, have you all seen my amazing deck list?
Oh,
Look
yeah, that's
how great my
great.
deck is. And I love people just showing off their inventive deck lists, and it's a nice way to kind of run these tournaments and welcome new players into the game. It really does make a big difference.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's much more inviting when you see all the resources that you have around you. And there's so many people out there willing to help you out too, especially at local card shops and stuff like that. You know, I've met so many friendly people. That's how I learned to play the TCG. You know, the first deck that I made didn't make any sense, actually. You know, I had evolution lines that weren't even complete in the deck. I had like half of break cards in there, and I had no idea what I was doing, you know? And then someone who knew more than me taught me how to properly play the game, and that's, you know, how I got started playing the game too. So there's so many stories like that out there in the field for sure, and it's always nice to get to live those in our streams.
Yeah, I started off getting help from that person, then I became that person helping new
There
players
you
by local
go.
league, and it was awesome. But it does look like we got an updated look at the standings. So let's
check
go
it
and have a
out.
look and see which notable players, which of these names we recognize. And it seems like we are down to one X and O player. We got Taketo Seki from Japan at a
Yes.
7-0-0 record. That is pretty gosh darn impressive.
Wow, absolutely. Yeah, we got to see Takedo on stream earlier. So that is really awesome to see them doing so well. Still the only 7-0 player left standing here with that 21 points locked in. In that second place too, Grant Shen. That is awesome to see. Grant, we just had a quick chat because there was an issue in Orlando where the deck list submission was incorrect versus the deck they were playing, and it didn't turn out too well for Grant. But look at that, Grant's coming back here with a vengeance at a 6-0-1 record. That's awesome.
And of course, there is another Japanese player, a couple actually. We've got Yuki Kawahito at a 6-1 record. We've got
Nice.
Soma Arai at a 6-1 record. And you know, we said about the Japanese players kind of coming in and proving that they are very much among the best in the world. We got 3 here. One of the things that jumps out to me, and this is only the top 16, plenty of, you know, 2 more rounds. We can change this around a bit. But I can spot 2 Australian players in the top 16 here. We've got Joel Suriani, sorry if
Joel,
I'm getting
I think, yeah.
that pronunciation wrong. And then we've got Peter Lowe. These are not the players like Henry Brand and Natalie Miller and Christian Hasbani that we were expecting to see in the top 16. Now, I'm sure some of those are still on for a day 2 at least. But it's interesting to note that we've got some different Australian names coming out here.
Yeah, you love to see that. So much representation in these standings right now for all different places. Of course, Gustavo Wada, got to point that out right there. 11th, won EUIC in the last season as well. So that is definitely huge. And then Tord Reklev right above there too.
Yeah, what a
So
shock Tord's
reigning,
done well.
you know, champions of our ICs on this list too. And maybe they're going to be taking home another IC under their belts. We never know until we get into the rest of this tournament.
Yeah, I spotted at least 3 international champions there. We've got
Oh,
Gustavo
yeah, for
Wada,
sure.
Tord Reklev, Pedro Eugenio Torres, all players that have in the past
Stacked.
won an international championship. And then, of course, we've got those Japanese players there as well. And this is shaping up very, very nicely. There was a big mix of nationalities. You know, we were talking about the regionals that we tend to do away from these internationals.
Yeah.
And it's fair to say that when you look at the results of US regionals, they tend to be dominated by US players.
Yeah.
When you look at European regionals, now we have a greater mix of countries because the good European players do tend to, doesn't matter whether we're in Sweden or Denmark or France or the UK, the good name European
They
players
travel
will
out.
be, they'll all be at all of them.
Yeah.
It is a real circuit. It's kind of awesome. And you don't see that at a place like this. That mix of nationalities, that is a truly international top 16 right now.
Yes, and like you were talking about, just an absolutely stacked roster as far as our players that we're going to be looking at as well. So this is shaping up to be a very entertaining and intense OCIC that we're going to. But here we go. We have our next match all ready for you all.
We've got Kai Hayato from Japan and Garcia Griego, a very well-renowned player from the US. I was kind of hoping we'd get Jamie Franklin, the British player, in, but I think we might have found an even better matchup here. We've got one of those Japanese players who are having such an impressive run at this tournament, and of course, Azul, I think it's fair to say, one of the most well-known and popular players in the game right now.
Oh, absolutely. And one of those people who is also an IC winner. Azul took NAIC last season as well. So we are just, like I said, another Stacked player joining on our stream today. So Kai versus Azul, Garcia Griego here. Looking at those prize cards, oh, I just miss them every time, Ross, but hopefully there wasn't anything too bad there. I know that I saw at least 2 mulligans, I believe, over for Azul, getting a couple of extra cards there. So I am ready to get into this match, Ross. This is our round 8, of course, so things are really narrowing down in this tournament, and we are just jumping straight into it. This is our Swiss round 8. Let's get into it.
Yeah, we've got 5-1 world records, which means the winner of this round will be into day 2, will guarantee their day 2 finish. So that is pretty good. We've got Kai who starts off here, and we've got a Lugia, and it looks like we've got a Capture Energy here, that's going to help.
Yeah, these win-ins are always the most exciting to watch as well, because usually the person that ends up winning this is like, woo, I made it, I'm in, let's go. Yeah, but we are starting over here on Kai's side of the field, getting those 2 Lugias down. You love to see it as a Lugia player. You just want to go as consistent as possible. Didn't get to see the hand yet, but let's see if we can line up an even better turn 1. But no, it's just going to be a pass for that. So nothing in the discard here from Kai, and we're just passing over to Azul now.
But we do have the 2 Lugia, which is the most important. You can always get the Archeops next turn.
Later down, yeah.
You can't get the Lugia next turn, at least, and then evolve them. So over to Azul here, we've got a Cramorant in the active, and now it's a case of, can we get some Comfey? Or Comfey? It looks like Battle VIP Pass is going to help.
I believe that there was actually 2 Battle VIP Pass in the hand as well for Azul, so we are going to see some Comfey indeed. That is for sure.
And then have we got, there might have been a Chorus's Experiment, I might have misseen that, but certainly 4 cards in the Lost Zone. If we get 4 cards in the Lost Zone and a cheeky Cramorant attack for 110 here, that would be a great start for Azul here.
Yeah, so I'm curious as to Azul's list. Azul has been rocking it with Lost Zone for plenty of events, but usually it was the Kyogre build. I believe this is a different build of the deck, though.
Yeah, it's like one we saw earlier. We've got the Zera Aura Dragonite. So it's very similar to one we saw on stream earlier. We've got Zera Aura and Dragonite, and they are basically your other attackers here. You've got the usual ones with your Cramorant and your Sableye and your Drapion, and then you've got your one Dragonite, your one Zera Aura, and those are essentially your other attackers we've gone for. They do seem to be a popular pair of attackers at this event.
Oh yeah, ditching the Kyogre. See you later. Well, we're getting on with things here, but no, I think it's turning out quite well. It's no coincidence that these players landed on the same set of cards into these Lost Zone decks. So yeah, all right, let's see if Azul, how they're shaping up this field so far. And as I said, there was Battle VIP passes aplenty in hand. We're going in with a concealed cards here, discarding out Water Energy to draw 2 cards to hand as well. At this point, Azul with the extra mulligan cards too. I mean, this hand is just filled with cards, and we're just going straight in with that Chorus's Experiment.
Yeah, I thought I saw it in hand. It was there, and this is good because now all we need is 2 flower selecting, and then we've got that Spit Innocently on board with the Cramorant here, which isn't going to get a KO, but it's going to do a couple of things. It's going to get that Lugia down to half HP, so potentially could be KO'd with a Cramorant if it doesn't evolve, or it's going to just bring down, when it evolves into a V-Star, it's going to be sitting there with 170 HP, which is nowhere near as threatening as 280 it normally has. So it does seem like we are there. We go, almost put those cards into the discard pile, just trying to figure out where is that Lost Zone going to be. Oh, up there. There we go.
I know
Not so good.
these players keep switching the discard pile on me. It's confusing sometimes, but yes, the Lost Zone is going to be up top there. So now we are seeing, yeah, even Azul is confused here too. That's 2 cards in the Lost Zone. Discard pile is on the left here as well. So we are going to see another flower selecting. So that is going to make 3 into the Lost Zone now for Azul. And like you said, Ross, anytime you can get off some chip damage early in the game, you're just going to be in a better position because, you know, Lugia doesn't have any way to heal that damage. So you just chip away and hopefully lock up those prize cards later in the game.
Well, it kind of forces your opponent to evolve. They don't always
True.
necessarily want to evolve into, you know, they don't want to, if they can only evolve once, they don't want to be attacking with a damage V-Star. But if they don't evolve up and use a damage V-Star, then they've got a V which can be easily KO'd by a Cramorant. And anytime you let a Cramorant get a 2-hit KO on a 2-prize Pokemon, that just feels absolutely terrible.
Oh my
That's a
gosh.
nice to see. Oh, that's not, it's still turned once.
I
That
was about to
Battle
say.
VIP pass is actually still on board.
But I think that's literally all Battle VIP Pass now in the entire deck that is somewhere on the field at this point, or still potentially in the hands. But I think 2 of them are played already. So yeah, Azul is just setting up here when you throw 2 Battle VIP Pass into the Lost Zone turn 1 because you already have what you need. That is just wild. I mean, I cannot believe this. And I mean, that kind of goes to show too, if you get a couple extra mulligan cards too, it can be very detrimental potentially. But yeah, this hand is just huge for Azul. And we're going to still see a Primate Wisdom. Already 4 cards in the Lost Zone. And still just going.
Yeah, we see the pivot there into the Cramorant by discarding that capture energy.
Yep.
We do see the 110. And what Azul's done really well here is set up his perfect board.
Yeah.
He got literally to pick whatever he wanted. And basically, those are the 6 Pokemon he wants out right now.
Yeah, you could say that again. So that Spit innocently is going to do that 110. And now it's back over to Kai to figure out what to do with this. I'm trying to see the hand here. There is an Archeops in hand and a way to discard it as well. We're going to start off with that Evolution Incense to thin out some more cards from the deck. That one being drawn to the front there, of course, that other Archeops, because you want to get 2 into that discard pile. 2 is a lot better than 1, and we've seen that plenty of times here today. But still, we've actually seen many games where the player clutches it with only 1 Archeops, so you know, you never know. But getting both is always way more safe of a position to be in.
Well, there's different scenarios. We saw Natalie earlier playing a game where she very consciously decided she only needed 1
Yeah, you
Archeops.
only need
Let's
1.
go for it. But then we've seen other games, today where people really wanted the second Archeops, but they were just pushed into it and had to go with the 1. And in those games, it rarely worked out well.
Yeah, I was about to say, it really changes.
And an even better matchup here. We've got one of those Japanese players who are having such an impressive run at this tournament, and of course, Azul, I think it's fair to say, one of the most well-known and popular players in the game right now.
Oh, absolutely. And one of those people who is also an IC winner. Azul took NAIC last season as well. So we are just, like I said, another Stacks player joining on our stream today. So Kai versus Azul Garcia Griego here. Looking at those prize cards, oh, I just miss them every time, Ross, but hopefully there wasn't anything too bad there. I know that I saw at least 2 mulligans, I believe, over for Azul, getting a couple of extra cards there. So I am ready to get into this match, Ross. This is our round 8, of course, so things are really narrowing down in this tournament, and we are just jumping straight into it. This is our Swiss round 8. Let's get into it.
Yeah, we've got 5-1 run records, which means the winner of this round will be into day 2, will guarantee their day 2 finish. So that is pretty good. We've got Kai who starts off here, and we've got a Lugia, and it looks like we've got a Capture Energy here, that's going to help.
Yeah, these winning ins are always...
I like it. I do like it. Just thinking, how can we get more consistent?
exciting to watch as well, because usually the person that ends up winning this is like, woo, I made it, I'm in, let's go. Yeah, but we are starting over here on Kai's side of the field, getting those 2 Lugias down. You love to see it as a Lugia player. You just want to go as consistent as possible. Didn't get to see the hand yet, but let's see if we can line up an even better turn 1. But no, it's just going to be a pass for that. So nothing in the discard here from Kai, and we're just passing over to Azul now.
But we do have the 2 Lugia, which is the most important thing. You can always get the Archeops next turn.
Later down, yeah.
You can't get the Lugia next turn, at least, and then evolve them. So over to Azul here, we've got a Kremlin in the active, and now it's a case of, can we get some comfy or comfy? It looks like Battle VIP Pass is going to help.
I believe that there was actually 2 Battle VIP Pass in the hand as well for Azul, so we are going to see some comfy indeed. That is for sure.
And then have we got, there might have been a Chorus's experiment, I might have misseen that, but certainly 4 cards in the Lost Zone. If we can get 4 cards in the Lost Zone and a cheeky Cramorant attack for 110 here, that would be a great start for Azul here.
Yeah, so I'm curious as to Azul's list. Azul has been rocking it with Lost Zone for plenty of events, but usually it was the Kyogre build. I believe this is a different build of the deck, though.
Yeah, it's like one we saw earlier. We've got the Zera Aura Dragonite. So it's very similar to one we saw on stream earlier. We've got Zera Aura and Dragonite, and they are basically your other attackers here. You've got the usual ones with your Cramorant and your Sableye and your Drapion, and then you've got your 1 Dragonite, your 1 Zera Aura, and those are essentially your other attackers we've gone for. They do seem to be a popular pair of attackers at this event.
Oh yeah, ditching the Kyogre. See you later. Well, we're getting on with things here, but no, I think it's turning out quite well. It's no coincidence that these players landed on the same set of cards into these Lost Zone decks. So yeah, all right, let's see if Azul, how they're shaping up this field so far. And as I said, there was Battle VIP passes aplenty in hand. We're going in with a concealed cards here, discarding that Water Energy to draw 2 cards to hand as well. At this point, Azul with the extra mulligan cards too. I mean, this hand is just filled with cards, and we're just going straight in with that Chorus's experiment.
Yeah, I thought I saw it in hand. It was there, and this is good because now all we need is 2 flower selecting, and then we've got that Spit Innocently on board with the Cramorant here, which isn't going to get a KO, but it's going to do a couple of things. It's going to get that Lugia down to half HP, so potentially could be code for Cramorant if it doesn't evolve, or it's going to just bring down, when it evolved into a V-Star, it's going to be sitting there with 170 HP, which is nowhere near as threatening as 280 it normally has. So it does seem like we are there. We go, almost put those cards into the discard pile, just trying to figure out where is that Lost Zone going to be. Oh, up there. There we go.
I know these players keep switching the discard pile on me. It's confusing sometimes, but yes, the Lost Zone is going to be up top there. So now we're seeing, even Azul is confused here too. That's 2 cards in the Lost Zone. Discard pile is on the left here as well. So we are going to see another flower selecting. So that is going to make 3 into the Lost Zone now for Azul. And like you said, Ross, anytime you can get off some chip damage early in the game, you're just going to be in a better position because, Lugia doesn't have any way to heal that damage. So you just chip away and hopefully lock up those prize cards later in the game.
Well, it kind of forces your opponent to evolve. They don't always necessarily want to evolve into, they don't want to, if they can only evolve once, they don't want to be attacking with a damage V-Star. But if they don't evolve up and use a damage V-Star, then they've got a V which can be easily KO'd by a Cramorant. And anytime you let a Cramorant get a 2-hit KO on a 2-prize Pokemon, that just feels absolutely terrible. Oh, that's a nice to see. Oh, that's not it's still turned once. That Battle VIP pass is actually still on board.
But I think that's literally all Battle VIP pass now in the entire deck that is somewhere on the field at this point, or still potentially in the hands. But I think 2 of them are played already. So yeah, Azul is just setting up here when you throw 2 Battle VIP pass into the Lost Zone turn 1 because you already have what you need. That is just wild. I mean, I cannot believe this. And I mean, that kind of goes to show too, if you get a couple extra mulligan cards too, it can be very detrimental potentially. But yeah, this hand is just huge for Azul, and we're gonna still see a Primate Wisdom. Already 4 cards in the Lost Zone, and still just going.
Yeah, we see the pivot there into the Cramorant by discarding that Capture Energy. We do see the 110, and what Azul's done really well here is set up his perfect board. Because
Yeah.
he got literally to pick whatever he wanted, and basically those are the 6 Pokemon he wants outright.
Oh, I got a Silene.
Yeah, you could say that again. So that Spit innocently is going to do that 110, and now it's back over to Kai to figure out what to do with this. I'm trying to see the hand here. There is an Archeops in hand and a way to discard it as well. We're going to start off with that Evolution Incense to thin out some more cards from the deck, that one being drawn to the front there, of course, that other Archeops, because you want to get 2 into that discard pile. 2 is a lot better than 1, and we've seen that plenty of times here today. But still, we've actually seen many games where the player clutches it with only 1 Archeops, so you never know. But getting both is always way more safe of a position to be in.
Well, there's different scenarios. We saw Natalie earlier playing a game where she very consciously decided she only needed 1
Yeah, you
Archeops,
only need
let's
1.
go for it. But then we've seen other games that, today where people really wanted the second Archeops, but they were just pushed into it and had to go with the 1. And in those games, it rarely worked out well.
Yeah, I was about to say, it really changes pace depending on how you're forced to play the 1 Archeops or not. So yeah, here we go. We're gonna see that Luminous Sign off of the Luminion bring out the Professor's Research from the deck as well. This might just not be too good of a hand here for Kai, and we might just see a bunch of cards hit the discard pile.
No, this isn't too bad, because we saw the quick ball getting rid of the Archeops.
Yeah, that was
for
great.
the Luminion,
And the
for the
Evolution.
Professor's Research, which we know there's a second Archeops in hand, and now this gives Kai potential outs to the Lugia V-Star. So if Kai gets the Lugia V-Star off here, we've got the 2 Archeops in the discard, we've got the Lugia V-Star out, and now we've got exactly what you're looking for turn 2. And this is why I said, you need the Lugia turn 1, the Archeops can wait, but I am not seeing an out to the V-Star in that hand. Kai, I think Kai did everything right there, and it did not work out. That was a really good play.
Yeah, I mean,
and it didn't work.
A fresh 7 cards too. You seem, I'll hit something that I need, some sort of search out to get into this V-Star. But yeah, that is not what we're gonna see off that research. Oh no!
Read the wind, discard a card from your hand, draw 3. Now actually has 3 Archeops in the discard. But that was a bad turn from Kai, and now Kai's got energy on that Lugia, and it's going to get KO'd by the Cramorant. That is not good at all. This is a huge break for Azul, being able to KO that Lugia with the Cramorant. And that's just what we know is going to happen at the end of the turn.
I was
Azul
going to say,
can do
there's
a
a lot.
bunch of stuff first.
There is a lot that's probably going to happen here still for Azul, that's for sure. Look at that hand. That is so many cards there, and we're starting off with, of course, that concealed cards that just drew into an additional 2 cards, straight into another Colress's Experiment as well. So we're going to see another 2 cards hit that Lost Zone off of this Colress's Experiment.
And we've just had confirmation from our lovely friend Chip. Well, I said this is similar to the build we saw earlier from Isaiah Williams. It is, in fact, the exact same 60
there we go.
as we saw from Isaiah Williams. So it's not just the same tech attackers. It is a literal same 60-card deck, which it does make a little bit of sense here. So we did see that Colress's Experiment come down. We've now got 6 cards in the Lost Zone. We are not quite at Mirage Gate territory here, but we don't need to be. This is why this KO over the Cramorant is so big. You don't need to rush into having your Saberline and Mirage Gate and all of that on board. You're going to go 2 prizes up, and you can go for a nice, slow, gentle setup while going up with prizes. Kai was on the verge of a great turn last turn, and it did not work out.
Yeah, that is so unfortunate to see. And yep, exactly like you said, Ross, we're just seeing Azul handle this very casually. We're just going to see some prize cards be taking the lead, and still just such a giant hand as well. So that is going to be how things pan out, but there's so much still that could potentially happen. Of course, I don't think that Primate Wisdom has been utilized out off the Oranguru. It looks like Azul is contemplating it there, and then I don't even think we've seen any flower selecting yet. The Heirloom did come down onto that Comfey already, so there's pivot option there now. Here's the Primate Wisdom, switching top card and drawn into a card. It's going to be that Snorlax, Sleeping Snorlax.
Yeah, Azul's doing us a favor. Azul is making sure to turn his cards at a 45-degree angle to show us which abilities have been used. We don't even see any flower selecting. Don't want to waste any pivoting options. We just leave the Cramorant in the active, get the KO on the Lugia, go up by 2 prizes, and I mean, Azul caught a big break there, but really took advantage of it nicely.
Absolutely, that was just a seamless turn there for Azul. Now we are back over onto Kai's side. Let's see what can happen in this turn. We're starting off with an Ultra Ball, having to discard the Choice Belt and another Lugia V.
The top deck the Ultra Ball, which meant it was the next card.
Ah.
Kai was one card away from just being able to go off last turn and just wasn't quite able to do it. Would have been able to KO the Cramorant, would have been able to get itself away from KO range from the Cramorant. We would have been in a very different situation. And we saw, and it was the fact that you went for the Luminion to get the Professor's Research to give yourself the best possible chance of drawing that Lugia V
cards,
star,
yes,
and then still missing it. That's what gets me about plays like that.
Yeah.
Kai did the right thing and did the digging, and it didn't work out, and it was so close. So we do see the Lugia V start, and we can still get the 2 Archeops here.
Yeah.
But is this a turn too late? It might be.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. When you're playing against these one-prizer decks, things can swing out of your fortune very quickly, depending on how the turns play out. And like you said, Ross, it might just be a turn too late. But either way, we are going to see both of those Archeops. So unfortunate there was 3 in the discard. Of course, 2 only being selected here, only being able to be selected here onto the bench from that V-Star ability on the Lugia V-Star. Summoning Star. I just said Star like 5 different times, Ross.
Oh, but it is Luminion, and we know what's going to happen here. We're going to put a couple of energy on. We're going to do 120. We're going to go back to the deck, and that's going to give the extra added benefit, of course, that the minion is then going to be in the deck, so you could play it down later to reuse that Luminous side. We're talking about numbers a lot today, and the fact that Luminion can do 120, even though you're generally playing it for the ability, it makes it a really good counter to these awkward single prize Pokemon that have 120 or fewer hit points.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is a huge attacker that we often see utilized in this matchup specifically, because just recycling all of those energies and having a continuous cycle of attackers is huge for this, for sure.
It's not quite double fish, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, that's true. So both of those primal turbos being utilized here to get all of those special energies. I mean, look at all the different types here that we're seeing. Tons of different special energies. That's how this deck works. You're going to see a lot of different type of energies to fuel all of your very powerful Pokemon. This is definitely a heavy Pokemon-loaded deck, as you see that Radiant Charizard hit the bench as well for Kai.
Yeah, that's always a good one. So we do see the Lost Vacuum coming down here, and it seems like we're going to be getting rid of an Air Balloon while a Serena hits the Lost Zone.
Yeah.
Of course, Kai is not really playing with the Lost Zone like Azul is, but yet we're going to get a Lost Zone counter anyway, even though it doesn't really mean anything for Kai's deck. We still know there's one there, and we're going to have to get that counter up, which is a little bit strange. But we do see those tech attackers coming down here, and we've got the Charizard and the Evil Tal. These aren't getting the value they would get against V-Star and V-Max decks, but they still are not too bad here.
Here we go, going in with the Professor's Research as well. So fresh 7 cards here for Kai as well. All those attackers have joined the party, and we are just going to see that Aqua return there from that Luminion there, taking the knockout and then being shuffled along with all of the energies back into the deck.
Yeah, it's not really ideal leaving that Evil Tal active. I mean, really, Evil Tal's there to take giant KOs on Pokemon you're unable to KO. But using it there as a little bit of a wall, why not? It is in Cramorant range, but the thing is, does Azul even have access? Yeah, there are 2 Cramorant in the deck, and there's a bunch of recovery, so maybe Azul just wants to kind of keep going with Cramorant for a minute. It would keep getting KOs.
Azul's kind of cruising right now, for sure. And I mean, that Air Balloon was put into the Lost Zone as well from Kai, but also, you know, removing that pivot option as well, which Kai seemed to favor with that Lost Vacuum.
But that did put us all onto 7, which then activated the Mirage Gate.
I know, exactly. I mean, but it most likely would have happened anyway, but yes.
Oh, yeah. Because there was a company in the act.
Yes, exactly. But there we go. We are going to see that Mirage Gate is activated now, and it is utilized as well. So retrieving those 2 different types of energy and placing them on to that Radiant Greninja. And there is no bench protection on Kai's side of the field.
No, so that means you can really take advantage of that. Having a quick look at Kai's list here, obviously it does play a Manaphy. They all play Manaphy, but there isn't a Manaphy down at the moment. So that means you can potentially, you're not going to really be getting any KOs here. but you can get a whole bunch of energy, a whole bunch of damage down on the field and start working on it for later.
Yeah, and that's where this deck just thrives as well. It's dealing damage all over the place. It's taking knockouts on actives, it's dealing bench damage, it's dealing weakness damage as well. It's tough to match up against Lost Box decks when they are hitting the cards they need, that is for sure. And Colress's Experiment is just one very solid way to get to those cards.
And this is big because we haven't used Flower Selecting on the active Comfy, so the combination of Chorus's Experiment and that Comfy is going to put 10 cards in the Lost Zone, which is then going to activate Sableye, which can drop 12 damage counters. That's a KO on an Archeops, or an Archeops, or an Evil Tau. There are a bunch of options. So what Azul can do here, and what we could also see is kind of setting up a double KO here, whereby you see the Radiant Greninja doing 90 to a couple different Pokemon, and then Sableye coming in and finishing them both off
Cleaning
next
them
turn.
up. Yeah.
And, you know, it could be, for argument's sake, I don't know, both the Archeops? That could work.
Yeah, that would be pretty debilitating, that is for sure.
That's what I'd be going for right now. I'd want to use that grenade. Now, you could go after the Lugia V-Star with a lot of HP, but I would love to drop 90 on each of those two Archeops, and then next turn, I've got Sableye, and Archeops are off the board for the game.
Yep, and here we go. That Sableye's coming out. 10 cards in the Lost Zone. Radiant Greninja being brought to the active to utilize that Moonlight Shuriken as well. This is just going. This is bread and butter here for Azul.
Yeah, there are a lot of options here, and of course that Radiant, that Evil Tal's really not doing a huge amount there, so I would personally be trying to ignore that one. It's whether you want to really soften up the Lugia here or not, I think becomes the question. But either way, the great thing about Radiant Greninja, it does not have to hit the active. It does 90 to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, wherever they may be. And if that Evil Tal's going to sit in the active, not doing very much with not enough energy on, you know what? Leave it there. Start going after the bench.
Yeah, that is very true. So we did see the energy recycler there from Azul as well. And now, is that that's the Sky Seal Stone I see.
Is that one? Yeah, that is a Sky Seal Stone. It's only working if you get a KO on a V-Star or V-Max. So it's not really going to be relevant this turn. I'm not seeing a way that Lugia goes down.
No, because there's already been a supporter yet. And I don't think there's another Gus
and there's
option.
a full bench, and it just gets a little bit awkward. So you can use it, but that's something you want to use later on if you get, you know, your Zera Aura or your Dragonite KOing a Lugia, for instance. That would be when that would be a really good play. And we do see,
Moonlight Shuriken.
as I suggested, both of those Archeops, just because I'm mean and that's what I would have wanted to do. But it is actually huge because you've not no second V-Star power here. Next turn, Azul is going to use Sableye to KO both of them. So Kai's got one last turn of energy acceleration, and that's basically it for the game.
Yeah, that is where the downfall of Lugia definitely comes into play there. Once those Archeops are out, you're never getting them back. So then you're just manually attaching from there. And at that point, you just lose so much momentum, and you slow down just enough for your opponent to be able to take the game. So that, very powerful. You called it, Ross, for sure. And sometimes you just look at a match and you say, what would I do here? And that's the answer. So there you go. We are now over on Kai's side of the board here. We did see the energy attachment of that double turbo onto the Evital in the active position. And we're going in with those primal turbos.
Yeah, that is... Well, it's your last turn to do it, so you might as well enjoy it.
Yeah, you gotta do it,
But it's things like the Evil Tail being in the active. We've just seen Kai, put one of those double energy cards on the Evil Tail, presumably to retreat it. So on your last turn of actually being able to use Primal Turbo, you haven't used one of those 4 energies to retreat the Evil Tail to an actual attacker, and then that's one more resource that you've essentially wasted. So I think the way Azul is playing this game so far is just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised by that. Like I said, Azul is very familiar with the Lost Box decks, of course. Was repping that Kyogre for a long time here, switching over to a different build now. But yeah, I mean, on full display here, Azul just vibing with this deck and doing a great job. But we are going to see that Radiant Charizard being brought into the active after the hard retreat of the Evital. And we're going to see a Choice Belt come down onto Lugia V-Star and then a Marnie. So very slim hand there that Kai had to shuffle and put to the bottom of the deck. Kai drawing 5 cards and Azul drawing into 4. So that huge hand is now a little bit smaller. Actually, a bit smaller there for Azul.
Yeah, that choice spell's not really going to do anything. That was just classic hand thinning so that you've got fewer cards in deck for the late stages of the game. And we did see the KO with Charizard here, but this is too early. You don't want to be putting 3 energy on the Charizard. You want to be putting 1 energy on a Charizard, and putting 3 energy on a Charizard just to KO a Radiant Greninja. And look, it was the best option at the time. I think Kai absolutely did the right thing. But what Azul is doing is putting Kai in a position where he's having to make awkward, decisions and putting himself in a situation where that's not what he wanted to do, but it was kind of all he could do.
Yep, and that's just going to lead to, as you mentioned before, Ross, just potentially running out of resources, running out of energy, running out of cards that you need to be able to pivot into other attack. I mean, running out of Archeops, let's just bring that up as well. So, yeah, not being able to utilize that Radiant Charizard for the full ability that you get with the Excited Heart that depletes the energy cost is just definitely not what you want to be seeing.
But the big question here is whether Azul has a Psychic Energy. Right now, I don't think he does. We saw one was in the discard.
Marnie hit?
Oh, now we do still see, we got Bird Keeper here, and we've got Flower selecting. Oh, that was water. It wasn't the one we wanted. There is still a scoop up net. There is potentially another Comfey there. So we still got some more. There it is. That's very, very big.
There we go. And that is going to fuel this Sableye that is looking pretty evil there on the bench.
Yeah, and we've already got scoop up net in hand, so we know there are no issues here.
No.
We can pick up the Comfey, pop up the Sableye, and now things are starting to look very, very nice indeed.
Yep, and it didn't take too long for Azul to just refuel that hand with all of the powers of the Lost Box deck for sure. So, yep, that's scoop up net first. Oh, we might see the Primate Wisdom utilizing.
And it does look like Kai is conceding the game, losing both of those Archeops. When you don't have a good enough board to support it, is too much, and Azul does win the first game and really takes the lead. Now, this is a win and in, but it's not a lose and out, and that is important.
Yeah, like I was saying before, when we were jumping into this game, it's always nice to see these because the player that ends up winning it is usually pretty happy because they're into day 2, and that's nice to see. But on the flip side of that, too, the other player on the opposing end still has a chance in the competition here. So these players are going to be going into a game 2 for this round 8 that we are in. There's 26 minutes left on the clock here. Of course, you still have to shuffle up and set up their board states, but what do you think? I mean, Ross, I feel like we didn't get to really see Kai's deck at its full potential, and that's always unfortunate. So maybe things will turn the tides, but really it happened in that first turn. Kai missed that pop off right in the beginning, and it just hurt to see.
Yeah, I mean, being able to, giving us all the opportunity to get that 2-hit KO with a Crabber was absolutely huge. Then Azul being able to, just to pull off that brilliant turn with a Radiant Greninja, getting rid of both of those Archeops. And there were things Kai could have done, but, did he have the Manaphy? Did he have an out to the Manaphy? Was there a way to get that Manaphy onto the bench? If there was, then that could have been something to put down. But you don't always expect the Radiant Greninja to come out in one turn like that. And especially, setting up that play to KO both the Archeops. There's certainly things Kai can try and do differently in this game. Getting that Manaphy out, but then you're restricting your bench space, and you need a lot of that bench space. And then, if you don't have the Dunsparce, if you don't put that down, then that opens up a potential KO with Zero Aura on Azul's side of the board. And we saw this when we saw Lugia against Lost Box earlier. It's a real kind of back and forth where what you're trying to do is predict what your opponent's doing and try and kind of cut them off at the pass. And Azul did a wonderful job last game. But I do need to point out that early turn, that turn 2 that Kai had there, really, really was so close. Really digging, playing beautifully, and just missing that Lugia V-Star. And it turns out the next card was it was that Ultra Ball. That was harsh. That was rough.
Yeah, that definitely was. You hate to see it when it's the next card in the deck, but here we go. We are jumping into our game 2 of our Swiss round 8. I was watching while you were chit-chatting there, Ross, too. Azul had such an interesting decision here because there was, I think, 4 different options for a starting Pokemon. Sableye, Snorlax, Oranguru, and I think even a Manaphy was in there as well.
Yep.
But opting to go for the Oranguru after a little bit of debate here. But of course, we are starting over on Kai's side, who's starting with that Radiant Charizard. Not necessarily a card you want to start with, but I guess not the worst.
That's a get it later kind of card.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. That's a pop out right when you can attack with it kind of card, definitely.
So Kai's had a decent start here. We've got a quick ball. That's going to allow you to discard the Archeops, which is good. That's going to get the Lugia V, which is good. And there is a Lugia V star in hand, which is good. We
Solid.
don't have a second Archeops, though, to hit the discard. And I'm not sure what Kai's got after that. Now, the good news is it is very, very unlikely that Azul will be taking a KO on the Lugia turn 1.
Oh, yeah.
It is possible. I mean, if just a Lugia out, we could potentially get 7 cards of the Lost Zone, and then we would need an Escape Rope, a Zero Aura, and a Mirage Gate. It is doable.
That's true, I
but
guess,
it's
yeah.
incredibly unlikely.
Yeah. We've seen some wild things, though, with these decks, so I guess you never know here, but... All right, so yeah, here we go. Kai's still setting up this turn 1. We did see that evolution incense for the Archeops into the quick pull to discard it. Now just getting that Lugia V down onto the field, manually attaching to that Radiant Charizard and passing back over, well, I guess over in general to Azul now for turn 1 on Azul's side.
Yeah, we've got that.
Nope.
It's good.
Think even this round
Was, and it turns out the next card was just missing that. Was that Ultra Ball? That was harsh. That was rough.
yeah. While you were chit-chatting there, Ross, too, Azul had such an interesting decision here because there was, I think, 4 different options for a starting Pokemon. Sableye, Snorlax, Oranguru, and I think even a Manaphy was in there as well.
Yep.
But opting to go for the Oranguru after a little bit of debate here. But of course, we are starting over on Kai's side, who is starting with that Radiant Charizard. Not necessarily a card you want to start with, but I guess not the worst.
That's a get it later kind of card.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. That's a pop out right when you can attack with it kind of card, definitely.
So Kai's had a decent start here. We've got a quick ball. That's going to allow you to discard the Archeops, which is good. That's going to get the Lugia V, which is good. And there is a Lugia V star in hand, which is good. We
Solid.
don't have a second Archeops, though, to hit the discard. And I'm not sure what Kai's got after that. Now, the good news is it is very, very unlikely that Azul will be taking a KO on the Lugia turn 1.
Oh, yeah.
It is possible. I mean, if just a Lugia out, we could potentially get 7 cards of the Lost Zone, and then we would need an Escape Rope, a Zero Aura, and a Mirage Gate. It is doable.
That's true, I
but
guess,
it's
yeah.
incredibly unlikely.
Yeah. We've seen some wild things, though, with these decks, so I guess you never know here, but... All right, so yeah, here we go. Kai's still setting up this turn 1. We did see that evolution incense for the Archeops into the quick pull to discard it. Now just getting that Lugia V down onto the field, manually attaching to that Radiant Charizard and passing back over, well, I guess over in general to Azul now for turn 1 on Azul's side.
Yeah, we've got that lovely Oranguru using that Primate Wisdom there, trying to see an
nice.
extra card. The thing is, you said that Azul has a bunch of basics, and he does.
He doesn't
really
have a
want
supporter,
any of
though.
them.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's also no supporter, and of course, Azul is going second, so is able to play a supporter at this point. You would love to see a Colress's Experiment, and maybe we will see that because that Radiant Greninja is coming out, and if you're able to use that concealed cards, you get a little bit extra draw support. Azul also took an extra additional card in this round as well for another mulligan that Kai had. So 1 extra card, but yeah, like you said, Ross, it's there are a lot of Pokemon.
This is not how you want to start. That capture energy wants to go on a Comfey, so you can have a pivoting option for that Comfey later on in the game. You don't want to bench that Snorlax this early in the game. You don't want to put the capture energy on it.
Oh,
but it
well,
was
there's...
literally Azul's only chance.
Well, off of that concealed cards battle VIP pass, just to jump back into the deck and get some more Pokemon. So we are going to end up seeing those Comfey come out anyway.
Yeah, that worked out beautifully. And I know it was the right choice to make, of course. The Snorlax was the better option to put down. You had to put the Capture Energy on. You had to get the Radiant Greninja to draw the most cards now, and it actually has paid off beautifully. That Battle VIP pass is literally and figuratively going to open up the deck for us all.
Yeah.
And this is very, very different. A couple of minutes ago, I was not feeling great about this setup.
Well, also the Cramorant came off of the concealed cards as well. So it's just like, oh, that jumped into hand as well. Oh, no, that's quite nice. So there we go. 2 Comfey coming onto the bench here from Azul with that Battle VIP pass. Yeah, that is great.
Yeah, it was a very nice turn from Azul. It went literally that Capture Energy into that Greninja, and that 1 concealed cards has changed absolutely everything. I'm sure Azul was not loving his hand at the beginning of this turn, now feeling a bit better, and we see the switch card into the Comfey, and now we can start flower selecting, and we straight away see a Colress.
Oh, it's 2 Colress.
It's not even 1, it's 2.
Yeah, but you don't want to see 2, but hey, at least you got 1, I guess. You have to discard not even discard it, send to the Lost Zone. See you later, Colress. Work on your experiments in the Lost Zone, buddy.
I'm kind of all right with this. I don't love seeing 2, but Azul has gone from
but then you get 1.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You've gone from a bad start to a good start.
For sure.
You don't want a Lost Zone 1, but you know what? At this stage, I'm so relieved to see 1. I'm cool Lost Zoning 1.
Yes, that is definitely true. So we have 3 cards now into that Lost Zone on Azul's side of the field. And then we're going to see that Hard Retreat, attaching that Psychic Energy onto the active Comfey, just to go into another Comfey. 4 cards, of course, now off that Flower Selecting.
Is he not still in turn 1?
Yeah, this is turn 1.
Is he attached the Capture Energy to Snorlax? So how did we see an attachment onto the Comfey as well?
Oh, you're right.
So if that was an attachment, we saw a double attachment there, and that's not good.
No, this is 100% turn 1 because of that Battle VIP pass. Okay, so I think it would just... Oh, no. We might need to see some correction here because I feel like... I believe that Flower Selecting was already activated on that Comfey that was brought into the active after the Hard Retreat. So we might see some correction here. But if the Flower Selecting didn't go off, maybe it's just a quick revert.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to try and rewind it here. It's a good job it was caught. And we've said this before, we need to not judge players too harshly on stream because it is very stressful. It's not sitting at the table like you're used to. It's, hey, come up on stage with everybody watching you, put on one of the Fancy Play Pokemon t-shirts, have the headset with the noise cancel, with the white noise in, have a table judge staring at you the entire time. And this is about as intense as it gets playing Pokemon, so... we must remember not to judge the players too harshly. It is easy to make silly mistakes that you would never make in a normal game here.
To be honest, I don't even know if it was the pressure on Azul. I think it was just this turn is so good, it doesn't even seem like a turn 1. It seems like you're in a turn 2 at this point. So, who knows? There's always slip-ups that happen for sure. But it looks like our judge is working hard here to figure out the situation so we can get reverted back and jump back into this game as soon as possible. Usually when there's situations like this, though, there is some sort of time extension after whatever issue is resolved. So no worries, we're not missing out on any time here. We're going to get a nice conclusion to this game regardless of what happens.
Yeah, the judge seems to be on it here. That time extension, it only kicks in after a certain amount of time. If it's a very quick ruling, it won't kick in, so we'll have to get confirmation about that later.
Yeah, I don't know if this is too quick, though.
It does seem to be that they have managed to reverse it quite nicely. We'll have to see if there is any kind of penalty. I'm sure somebody will let us know when it is decided. Will give us a little bit of a poke as to what's happened. And it seems to be have we seen a double prize cut penalty here? I'm not sure.
They should let us
Yeah, somebody will let us know. I saw the 4 fingers being pointed in the kind of you only have to take 4 prizes. So that might be what they're saying here. We will get... Okay, so that really does seem to be what they're saying here. Essentially, you don't get to take the prizes, and that's how it works nowadays with double prize cut penalty.
Less prizes.
Yeah, you have to take fewer prizes to actually win the game. You only have to take 4. It's harsh, but bearing in mind, we are at a winning in for an international championship. This is not round 1 at a small tournament. This is a very important game. So we do have to, and there we see the confirmation on the screen, those prizes being readied out there. So yes, there was a double prize cut penalty given to us all for what was unfortunately a fairly serious gameplay error.
Yep, and that is definitely going to change the tides a bit. Kai not getting off to the best start, especially in contention with that turn 1 that we are still on Azul's side over here. But, you know, now that you only have to take 4 prize cards, things could really change up here for Kai. So I believe we are now swapped over to Kai's side. We are going to see that summoning star for only 1 Archeops on that bench, and we're going to pop off straight away with a Primal Turbo off of that Archeops.
It's not bad, it's not the ideal there, but it's the best you can do. Of course, we kind of had to pass because without that energy, that Comfey
Yeah,
was
exactly. You're stuck.
in the active, and it looks like we're going aggro Charizard here. This is
Oh
not
my
how
gosh.
we usually see Lugia play. Getting 1 Archeops out to go, and a 5, who does 5 energy we never see 5 energy Charizard.
We saw the 3 energy Charizard last game, and now we're seeing a 5 energy Charizard. Let's go.
Kind of love this. So we do see the KO on the Comfey there, easily enough damage. But I kind of love this from Kai, because Kai's saying, hey, you've had kind of a slow start. I think I only need to take 4 prizes.
Yeah, true.
I think I can rush to 4 prizes.
Yeah, I mean, if you can burden your opponent, I guess that's what you're going to do for sure. We're back over on Azul's side of the field, though, after that knockout, of course, on that Comfey. So Kai going down a prize card here over to Azul's side of the field. We did see that concealed cards, and now what we're seeing is a Hisuian heavy ball going into those prize cards, grabbing out a basic Pokemon if it's there, switcherooing it with that heavy ball, and carrying on with the turn after you shuffle up those prize cards again, of course. 4 cards